Welcome back to Warriors Nation News, their go-to channel for everything Golden State. And today, we're diving deep into what might just be the most pivotal storyline of the 2025 offseason, the ongoing situation with Jonathan Kuminga. Now look, we've seen drama before in the Bay Area, but this one is different. It's personal. Because we're talking about a former top 10 pick, a player who was once believed to be the future face of the franchise. And now, he's not just on the trade block, he's practically packing his bags. The writing is on the wall. The relationship between Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors is broken. And from the outside looking in, it's hard to imagine any scenario where he suits up in blue and gold next season. But before we get into what's next, let's talk about how we got here. Jonathan Kuminga has always been a player with immense potential, athleticism, scoring flashes, and enough raw talent to make scouts drool. But let's be honest, he's also been a square peg in a round hole when it comes to fitting into the Warriors system. Steve Kerr's offense demands basketball IQ, unselfish movement, and an understanding of nuance, qualities Kuminga hasn't consistently shown. That's not a knock on his talent, it's just reality. He's a different kind of player, and different hasn't always worked out in this particular system. And now, after 4 seasons of waiting for a breakthrough that never fully arrived, Kuminga wants out. Can you blame him? Maybe not. But can you blame the Warriors for standing firm on their asking price? Absolutely not. Golden State knows the value of its assets, and Kuminga is still young, still developing, and still holds trade value. That's why the front office isn't just going to give him away. They've set the bar high, and rightfully so. The idea of just letting him walk in free agency is off the table. The qualifying offer is sitting there, unsigned, but time is running out. October 1st is the deadline. One way or another, this is coming to a head. So where does that leave us? Stuck in the middle of a Cold War. The Warriors are holding the leverage, but Kuminga's camp is growing impatient. And here's the kicker. This standoff is holding up the entire offseason. The rumored Al Horford signing? Still in limbo. Other potential depth pieces? On hold. All because the front office needs clarity before they can build the rest of the roster. And that brings us to the core question we're posing to all of you watching right now. What's the right move here? Should the Warriors continue to wait this out, refusing to blink until the right deal comes along? Or is it time to move on, even if the return isn't a home run? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. We want to hear from real fans, the ones who've been through the ups, the downs, the championships, and the heartbreaks. Now here's where we shift gears a little bit, because while the Kuminga situation is clearly messy, it also presents opportunity. There are teams out there, like the Sacramento Kings, that have shown interest, but cap space is tight across the league, and sign-and-trade scenarios are tricky. That works in Golden State's favor. They don't have to rush. And let's not forget, the Warriors aren't just a rebuilding team with no leverage. They still have Stephen Curry. They still have Draymond Green. They just added Jimmy Butler, and when those three are on the floor together after the trade deadline, the team went 23-7. This team is still dangerous. This team is still a threat. And maybe most importantly, this team still has time. But that time is running out. If the Warriors are going to make a serious push for one more ring before the Curry era ends, they can't afford to waste this offseason. Every decision matters. And what they do or don't do with Kuminga could define not just this season, but the next 5 years of franchise trajectory. So again, we want to hear from you. Should the Warriors play hardball and hold the line, or should they cut bait and reshape the roster now while they still have leverage? And for those of you thinking, well, Kuminga still has upside, what if he breaks out somewhere else? That's fair. That's a risk. But here's the thing. Golden State isn't a development program. This is a championship organization. And if you can't contribute at a high level now, there's no room for waiting. Steve Kerr knows it, the front office knows it, the players know it, and deep down, Kuminga probably knows it too. So let's call it what it is, a crossroads, one that could lead to a blockbuster move or to more frustration. Either way, Warriors fans, buckle up because the 2025-26 season starts now, and the decisions made in these next few weeks are going to shape everything. Let us know your take in the comments. Should the Kuminga be dealt no matter the return, or should the Warriors bet on one more year of development? Welcome back to Warriors Nation News. And if you thought the Jonathan Kuminga saga was the only issue tying up the Warriors front office this summer, think again. Because now, as the roster crunch begins to tighten, Golden State is staring down another tough question. Who stays, Moses Moody or Buddy Hield? It might sound dramatic, but this isn't just a hypothetical exercise. The Warriors' current cap structure is forcing their hand. They're running out of flexibility. If they want to execute a sign-and-trade involving Kuminga or bring in any meaningful pieces before training camp, they'll almost certainly need to part ways with one of these two rotation players. Let's start with Moses Moody. The 23-year-old wing has been a slow-burn developmental story ever since he was drafted in 2021. He wasn't flashy, but there was always something Warriors fans liked about him. Smart, steady, and with a three-point stroke that has only gotten better. In fact, last season, Moody shot a career-high 1.7 threes per game, proving that his role as a reliable floor spacer is no fluke. And for stretches of the season, especially right after the Jimmy Butler trade, Moody looked like a real two-way threat. A guy who could defend multiple positions and knock down timely shots. He fit. But then came the postseason, and that's where things got complicated. Moody's playoff performance was, in a word, disappointing. After flashing big potential in earlier playoff runs, remember his energy off the bench in the 2022 Finals run? This year, he simply disappeared. Whether it was the injury or just poor timing, Moody found himself almost unplayable in key moments. And when you're fighting for your playoff life, you can't afford invisible performances from your role players, not on a team built around aging stars. Still, Moody's youth, upside, and fit in Steve Kerr's motion-heavy offense make him an incredibly intriguing piece. Letting him go now, just as he might be entering his prime, could come back to haunt the Warriors, especially if he ends up thriving in a more stable, consistent role elsewhere. On the other hand, there's Buddy Hield, the sharpshooter the Warriors brought in for exactly one reason: firepower. And guess what? He delivered. Hield may not be a lockdown defender, but he brings exactly what Golden State needs around Stephen Curry: elite spacing. His three-point shooting is lethal, and the numbers speak for themselves. He's one of the highest volume deep threats in the NBA. When he gets hot, he can change a game in a matter of minutes. And that's not just regular season talk. Just ask the Houston Rockets what happened in Game 7 of the first round. Hield was on fire, lighting up the scoreboard and proving why the Warriors targeted him in the first place. He's not just a role player, he's a weapon. But the issue with Hield is simple: age, defense, and contract size. At 32, he's no longer a long-term piece. His lateral quickness isn't great, and while he gives effort, teams hunt him on switches. That's a real liability in playoff basketball. If the Warriors are going to make a deep run, every player on the floor has to hold their own defensively, even if they're scorching the net from deep. So now the front office has a decision to make, and it's not as easy as it sounds. If they keep Moody, they're betting on internal development and two-way upside, but they risk losing instant offense. If they keep Hield, they double down on a win-now approach, but they sacrifice youth, versatility, and future value. And that leads us to you, Warriors Nation. We want to hear what you think. Who would you keep, Moses Moody or Buddy Hield? Is it smarter to invest in the 23-year-old wing who might finally be ready to break out? Or do you ride with the proven vet who spaces the floor like few others in the league? Hit the comments and give us your take. This is a real dilemma, and there's no obvious right answer. But what we do know is that the Warriors can't afford to stand still. Time is not on their side. Remember, this team is built around urgency. Stephen Curry is 37. Draymond Green isn't far behind. And while Jimmy Butler's arrival brought energy to the squad, he's also in his mid-30s and coming off a tailbone injury that clearly limited him late last season. This roster is built for now. And if that's the case, every decision this front office makes, every player they keep or let go, has to reflect a championship mentality. Still, it's easy to see both sides of the coin here. Moody represents the future. Hield represents the present.
And with Kuminga likely out the door, keeping one of these two players becomes even more important to the team's depth. The worst-case scenario? Losing both. And make no mistake, that's not off the table. If the right deal comes along, if a player like Pascal Siakam or Brandon Ingram becomes available via trade, or if Milwaukee finally listens to offers on Giannis Antetokounmpo, then all bets are off. The Warriors would have to include multiple players to match salaries. That means Moody. That means Hield. Maybe both. So here's the reality. Every name not named Stephen Curry is on the table right now. That's how aggressive this front office has to be. And that's why your opinion matters more than ever. Sound off in the comments. If you were in Mike Dunleavy Jr.'s shoes, who are you trading? Who are you keeping? What kind of player would you want back? Let us know. Because the clock is ticking, and in the Golden State, there's only one goal left. Get Steph one more ring.
Welcome back to Warriors Nation News, where we keep it real with Warriors fans. And today, we're tackling a question that no one wants to ask, but everyone needs to think about. Is Jimmy Butler untouchable? Let's not get it twisted. Jimmy Butler changed everything for this franchise. When the Warriors pulled off that surprise mid-season trade last year, most of the league rolled their eyes. Too old, injury-prone, doesn't fit Kerr's system. The doubters were loud, but once the games tipped off, Butler silenced all of them, fast. The Warriors went 23-9 after the trade deadline, and an even more impressive 23-7 in games Butler actually played. Suddenly, the team had swagger again. The defense improved, the offense became more versatile, and maybe most importantly, Stephen Curry didn't have to carry every single possession on his back. Butler brought leadership, toughness, and a mentality that meshed perfectly with Draymond Green, both on and off the court. That fire, that grit, that refusal to back down. Warriors fans saw it up close in the playoffs, especially when the team stunned the Houston Rockets in the first round. Game 4 at the Chase Center, that post-game interview, that energy, that was vintage Jimmy. But then, reality hit. A nagging tailbone injury slowed him down. By the time the team reached the second round, Butler was clearly laboring. The burst wasn't there, the elevation wasn't there, the aggression still present, but the impact wasn't the same. And with Steph also banged up, the Warriors ran out of gas against the Timberwolves. Now, here we are, off-season 2025. And while Jimmy Butler is still widely respected and valued by the franchise, one massive question looms over everything. What if Giannis Antetokounmpo becomes available? That's not a rumor yet, but the speculation is everywhere. Around the league, people are watching Milwaukee closely. The Bucks haven't made meaningful upgrades. Their core is aging, and while Giannis is still saying the right things publicly, the frustration is reportedly growing behind the scenes. Now ask yourself, if Giannis demands a trade and lists Golden State as one of his preferred destinations, what should the Warriors do? Because make no mistake, a deal for Giannis won't be cheap. We're talking future draft picks, young assets, and yes, even established stars. And while Stephen Curry is 100% untouchable and always will be, the only way to land a player like Giannis is to make painful choices. And that's where Jimmy Butler enters the conversation. You see, Jimmy may be 35, but he's still a top-tier competitor. His playoff resume speaks for itself. He's a closer. He's a tone setter. He's everything the Warriors needed last year and could still need this year. But in the business of building dynasties, emotion can't outweigh strategy. If the Warriors have a chance to pair Stephen Curry and Giannis Antetokounmpo, two MVP-caliber talents, then even Jimmy Butler can't be off limits. It's a brutal truth, but one this front office has to wrestle with. Now, let's be clear. This is not a call to shop Butler. He's not being pushed out. Far from it. The Warriors want him here. He's under contract. He's respected in the locker room. He has a real shot at helping this team win it all next season. But let's play the what-if game for a moment. What if Milwaukee calls and says, "We'll send Giannis, but we want Butler, Moody, and a 2028 first-round pick"? Do you say yes? That's where we turn the spotlight on you, Warriors Nation.
Would you include Butler in a trade for a superstar? Or do you believe his value, his leadership, his chemistry with Steph and Draymond, and his playoff experience is too important to lose? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Be honest, be real, because this might be the kind of decision the Warriors have to face sooner than anyone expects. And let's not forget, the Warriors' 2028 first-round pick is one of the most valuable trade assets in the league, according to Bleacher Report. Why? Because by 2027-28, Curry, Butler, and Green will all be out of contract. That team might be completely reset by then. That pick could be a lottery pick, and teams around the league know it. So Golden State is in a rare position. They have just enough to make a blockbuster deal, but not enough to miss. If they go all in now, they could compete for a title this season. If they wait, they risk missing the window entirely. And that's the essence of this entire offseason: pressure. Steph doesn't have forever. Jimmy doesn't either. Draymond, same story. The clock is ticking, and every decision, whether it's Kuminga, Moody, Hield, or Butler, has to be made with one question in mind. Does this bring us closer to a championship right now? Because in this league, you don't get second chances. You don't get do-overs. So, what's your take? Is Jimmy Butler part of the final championship puzzle? Or is he the piece you need to move in order to go all the way? Let us know in the comments.